What's up, everybody? Can you guys hear me? Krista, you want to say anything before we get this party started? You're muted. You're muted. Muted.
I'm over here telling people to mute their microphone while I'm muted, honestly. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so housekeeping really quick, because this is going to be an amazing night. We don't want to waste any time, but if you can mute your microphone like mine just was, that'll be so awesome and so helpful to be able to hear it that much better. So if you're on your phone, bottom, hit on your phone. And yeah, let's get this started. Lane's going to be kind of the MC of the night, which is such a gift of hers. She's going to rock this, our Diamond Ambassador on Team Revive. And I'm just excited for y'all to hear so many different answers to your amazing questions and the way this can look for so many different personalities and strengths and skill sets. Take it away, Lane Loftus.
All right. I am so excited about this night. As Krista was saying, if you do not see the red microphone, to make it red, hit mute. That will take care of all the background noise, and she's working on that on her end as well. But that doesn't mean we want you muted. If you have a question, throw it in the chats, okay? So I'm got Krista, Deborah, Morgan, and Brooke here, all Jules and above, and we are so excited to pour into you guys tonight. I love and adore every single one of these women. I admire them, look up to them. I have learned so much from all of them, and to do this alongside them is an honor. But I want to think of something for just a second before we go into this. I remember when I began and Jules or Diamonds would talk, and I would just think, I would imagine what their life was like. And I imagined it to be perfect because they had everything they could ever want. Well, it ain't. We're just normal girls. We're just moms trying to survive, trying to find a coffee shop for service, getting the diapers changed, getting the kid, all the things. And so I just want us to all be on the same level tonight because we are all on the same level. And we are going to just kind of give you the agenda for tonight. We had 11 questions that we feel like we should all answer because the beauty of this is that anybody can get to the top of this company, no matter your Enneagram number, no matter where you're from, who you are, doesn't matter. We are all so different. So we wanted to answer these to show you just that anybody can do this. So the first 11 questions, we're all going to take a turn doing that. And then at the end, we have some people that can answer for you guys. So we're going to start with the first question. Number one hurdle you each had to, and I'm going to pass that over to, who am I passing to? Brooke. I did alphabetical order.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Hey, okay, awesome. So I'm really super excited to be with you guys tonight. Gonna let you in on a little secret. I thought this started at 8:30. So yeah, Emerald Ambassador here. So thought I had 30 minutes, you know, it's cool. Put on a fresh pair of leggings at least. So anyway, I just want to let you know that if I can do this, y'all can do this. So yeah, so I'm a little scattered, but I just want to let you know that actually that's one of my hurdles is my organization. So I had to really get with it. I'm really big on passion and drive, and like I can just like bring it home if I'm really excited about something. But my admin skills had to improve and get better, and I had to get organized, and I had to really get into my note section. My husband told me, hey, do you ever use your notes on your phone? And I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, let's get that figured out real quick. And so I would put people in as soon as I would talk to them, and I would put the date, and then I'd go back in 2 days and say, hey, did you have an opportunity to watch that training video that I sent you, and what did you think about it? And so I really started to utilize my notes section in my phone, and that might sound so silly to some of you guys, but that was like a big deal to me. So one of my hurdles was organization, and then a few more was picturing myself the way pictured me. I did not picture myself as a leader. I said it, and I was like, I told myself that I was a leader, but as far as viewing myself the way that somebody else viewed me, that was a big obstacle. And then also another obstacle was doing things outside of my comfort zone that I didn't want to do. And a lot of that, like doing lives and stuff like that's not scary at all to me, but some management stuff and stuff like that, that was scary to me. So out of my comfort zone in that area was one of my big hurdles. So there you go. I'm passing it to Deborah, I believe.
Hey, you guys. Okay, test my mic. Can you hear me? All right, awesome. So what was your number one hurdle that you've overcame? And so there's a lot that I could say there because, we face a lot of hurdles, but I think my biggest one is overcoming what people think about me. And, that's been tough from the very start. That was what was in my head from the very start, from the very first post was, what are people going to think? That I've joined one of these companies. And, let's be honest, we are going to lose some friends, but we gain so much more. And so really overcoming that mental block of what people are going to think about you is to remind myself it's worth it. All of the victories along the way have definitely been worth it. So, just going to keep going. And I'm going to pass it over to Krista.
All right. When I saw this question, the number one hurdle, I was like, well, which time? I feel like between every rank, there's another hurdle, and every day there's a hurdle, right? In our natural circumstances, in our mind, in our heart, our spiritual walk, all the things. But I think I could group most of my hurdles into one category, and it's fears. A lot of fears. And if I look at my whole life and my childhood and how shy I was and all the things, there's a lot of fear. But isn't that just like the enemy? He knows fear paralyzes us. It keeps us from action. It keeps us from stepping forward, whereas it's faith that makes us take steps forward. In fact, it's faith that says, not only can you walk, but you can walk on water, right? So fear, bottom line, fear. And am I passing it to Morgan? Morgan, take it away.
Hey guys. Okay, so excited to be here with you all. Well, first of all, one of my biggest hurdles was like not that techie. I didn't ever want to talk in front of people, and this terrifies me. So when I first thought of like a Jewel, my first interaction with Jules was either Krista going live all the time or watching YouTube trainings of that's what I thought you had to do when you became a Jewel. And that's not the case. You can do whatever you want, and you can make this business just like you want to. As you're going to hear from all 5 of us tonight, we're all very different, and that's a beautiful thing. So for me, just like Deborah said, pride, I had to lay down my pride to even post. I never, ever, ever took pictures by myself until I started doing Plexus. Even when people were taking pictures of me, I grabbed a kid, I grabbed my husband. I didn't take pictures solo. So just laying down kind of my pride, insecurity, all wrapped up in one, and realizing that the Lord had really called me to this was huge. And the second hurdle was busyness, because if you guys knew my family, we all have busy, right? And that was a hurdle. Like, I chose that this was going to fit into our family because it was going to be life changing. And even though I have 4 kids, even though we have a traveling ministry, even though I have a husband that's gone a lot, I chose that this was a path that God wanted our family to go down. So busy or not, this was worth it for sure.
Fantastic. I love it so much. A lot of it boils down to fear for all of us. That was my number one hurdle, was fear of what people thought. Kind of Krista and Deborah both touched on that, but My biggest hurdle was the very beginning. For 8 months, I could feel it stirring inside of me that I was supposed to do this business, but I did not want to do it. And it was 100% because of what people thought. So I knew if I decided I could. So, okay, let's go to number 2. Question number 2. What point was your tipping point? Like at what point in your momentum, growth, and income did you decide you wanted to take it to the top? Brooke, take it over.
Okay, so I knew in the very beginning, which actually my story is a little bit different. So often in Plexus you hear like, oh, you know, we didn't start for the business, you know, all that stuff. Well, I actually did. And I'm one of the ones, it's a kind of a rare story, but my direct upline is Lane Loftus. And I was, of course, as skeptical when I started, like many of us were. And I had been called into stay-at-home momhood, and I'd been working a little part-time job 3 or 4 days outside of the home, and it was really throwing a wrench in our home life because I knew I was called to be at home. So I actually decided at the very beginning, before I even joined, that I was in this for the business, that I was going to go. I didn't really visualize myself going to the top, but that I was going to go and I was going to make enough income for me to be able to stay home with my kids and do what I was going to do. And then I'd say when I hit about gold, which I kind of hung out there for a little bit, but when I hit gold, I knew that this was for me, that I had what it took. It might be a slow crawl, but I was going to get there. And so that was kind of my tipping point. I started for the business, and when I hit gold, I knew what I had. I knew I had what it took to get there.
Love that, Brooke. So good. I'm kind of similar to Brooke with that because, you know, yes, I did need to try the products for about like a day, and then I knew that I had to share it. I had to share what we discovered here. And, you know, I visualized right from the start, really using this business to transform our family's finances. I just could see that. I knew, like, it was like this deep down feeling that was what was going to happen. And, you know, I just had such a fire under me, and not to say that everything just went, but I have never lost sight of that, like ever. I just knew that this is what God was doing, and that's gave me the heart whenever it's been hard to really keep going with it. And yeah, I just love it so much. And I love getting to hear like Brooke's story because, you know, this is us. Like, you know, you start and then it's somebody else that picks it up and goes and makes it so worth it. Okay, Krista.
Probably the very first time, I was probably still a silver going gold that month, and happened to catch that there was something called Rock the Pink Live. And it was the very first time I ever saw a training. Kelly Norman was talking, and I was home alone. Such a rare thing. Home alone. Chad had all the kids, and I just remember the Lord kind of settling in and having this moment of, I'm supposed to do this. So that was like the first real moment, you know. But then there was significant ones all along. I remember seeing Amy Paul, her testimony, and I counted her kids, and she had the same number of kids as me, and she homeschooled. And so that was a moment of like belief that, okay, another mama of 7 can do this. I can do this too. Seeing Jennifer Leith's Diamond documentary was another moment. So there are significant steps, and I feel like God's so good just to continue to bring those, right? Because we have those ups and downs, but he continues to bring you back to that first birth of vision, that he brought this to you for a reason and for a purpose.
All right, so I'm going to be the little odd man out here, but it took me a long time to realize that I was going to build to the top. A long time, but I would say Ruby, if I had to tell you a rank. My team, my runners took me to Ruby. I didn't take my runners to Ruby. I had a lot of runners run with me. And at the end of hitting Ruby pretty supernaturally, I went, man, I think I might be able to do this as a business. So that tells you how many ranks I hit until I realized this is a business that I love, that I'm doing, and it's coming natural to me. And then I even hit senior ruby and still never saw myself as a diamond until the Lord really just highlighted it. I mean, in a really, really supernatural way. And I realized, okay, my senior ruby team is going to hit emerald. And then my husband said, I think the Lord is saying that you're also going to hit diamond. And so around April of last year would have been the final time I was like, okay, maybe I am going to become a diamond.
Okay, that gives me goosebumps that Jeremiah said, I think you're going to be a diamond. Like, the Lord's telling me you're going to be a diamond. I love that so much. I felt sound like a little bit of a broken record, but it's my favorite part of my whole story to tell this part. I had started the products. That's a whole nother story. Barely had started them, was loving them. And Michael called me. He was calling the house phone back when I lived in Sticks and Bricks. He called the house phone like 5 times, and I was ignoring it because I was doing, I had a new baby and 2 toddlers. And so he called the cell phone. He's like, hey, look at the messages I'm sending you. And I said, well, I'm busy. And he's like, no, stop everything and look at them right now. I don't care if the dishes are done. Look at them. He said, babe, you're going to be a diamond. I said, okay. And I promise I did not even know what that was. I just knew it was like a big deal in Plexus. And from that moment, that was it for me. I have never, ever doubted that I was going to be a diamond. Didn't matter how long it took. It was going to be worth it. But let me tell you, we called them our hot tub date nights. We'd get the kids down and we'd sit in the jacuzzi and we'd look at like Amy Paul and Bridget Ryan, like pretty much that's it. That's the only 2 we would watch because they had this RV lifestyle. And then, the Dearies had introduced us to homeschooling, and I saw that all these Plexus people, we didn't really fit in with it, honestly. Like, we were Totino's Pizza, Oreos, public schools, Friday night lights, football, that was us. Still is a little bit. But we were drawn to it. We knew the Lord was calling us to it. We knew it, both of us. We were in unity, and I'm thankful for my husband. But we just knew I'd be diamond in a year. I remember us sitting in the hot tub, we're like, okay, so next year we're going to do this and this and this and this. And I tell you that to tell you this. It is awesome to dream. It is amazing to dream. Do you know that when a year came, I was not disappointed at all, because in that first year, I learned so much. I grew. I was proud of where I was, and I don't even remember what rank I was at, so don't ask me, but that's a question for Michael. But the timeline doesn't matter. It's what happens in here that matters, and it's worth the wait. Okay, question number 3. And then I'm going to swipe. Oh, wait, hold on. I want everybody to just wave at me and smile. I want to make sure you guys are all smiling and waving. Oh, good. Yes. Okay. Yes. Pretty faces. Okay, because I can't see all the people. Hey, some of you don't have your camera on. Get it on, fellers. Get it on. Chad Deary, I can call you out. Okay, sorry. I just needed to do that because I haven't been able to see the faces this whole time. And I just want to make sure you guys are having a good time because that's important. To a 7. Okay, number 3. How many hours do you realistically, honestly, set aside for this daily when you're building and now? Take it away, Brooke.
Okay, so I will say different seasons, different answer. Okay, so when you are running and you are in real, true momentum, not just trying to create momentum, but I will say this is true to me, is I will work a lot. And I have to. It's important to me. I want to answer my leaders. I want to work with my runners. I want to pour into the people that want to be poured into. I want to answer my potentials. I want to be big presence on social media. So for me, when I am running, literally, I lot of my day. Now, this summer, I've worked a ton. When we go back into like homeschooling, I will go back into time blocking. I won't spend a lot of time talking about that. But if you don't know what time blocking is, please ask your upline after this, okay? Because when I go back into homeschooling, this is our 3rd year, have to time block or else little munchkin, and ain't nobody got time for that, right? So realistically, between, I'm just going to say 2 hours to 5 hours on the norm. During a running month, you don't want to know, like literally 8 to 16 hours. And that's not even kidding. But per the norm, like regularly maintaining, I'd say about 2 to 6 hours a day. And that is not counting my training videos. So as I'm cooking dinner, as I'm doing whatever, I will have Bridget Ryan in the background, you know, Brooke Hemingway in the background. So I'm not counting that because that's just always going. I either have worship going or Plexus training video going. So that does not count that. So I hope that answers that, Deborah. Wait.
Okay, this is going to be short and sweet because exactly what Brooke said. I feel like we might all kind of answer this one the same, but yeah, it changes, you know, at where you're at that month, where your team is at. You know, when you have someone in your downline who's really going for a rank, you know, you want to spend extra time with them and do what it takes. So yeah, like she said, but I would say in a normal day, probably 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, and it's hard to kind of include everything. Do you hear that hammering? Because we are under construction still, and Josh is in there hammering. But yeah, whenever those months come where we have gone for big ranks and different things, it can be a lot of hours a day, but I love it. I still love it. It's a lot of fun. So, okay.
Yeah, same. I would say up through senior gold, it was a nooks and cranny business. You know, it was just kind of fitting it in. I'd be giving a spelling test while answering a message. And at senior gold is when Chad and I had to make some adjustments and decide, what are we going to do with this? Are we going to treat it like a business or like a hobby? And that was the first time that we set business hours. It was for 2 hours every afternoon. After school was done, he would take over the home front, start dinner and stuff. And I worked in the garage. It was the first time we made a desk for Krista Deary and started treating it like a real gig. So that was like a 2 hour a day kind of a goal back then. Yeah, in running seasons, you do go out of balance for a little bit. The beauty of residual income, though, is you do the work once and you're paid on it forever. So it isn't like a 9 to 5, right? It's a totally different mindset. So there have been seasons where we've been like, whoa, this is a little out of balance. But we were excited that after that to start making those adjustments. So as we're prepping now for this school year, we're looking at what are the highest priorities of my day. For me, that's reading stories to my kids before nap time. It's having the devotion time before bed, right? It's making meals. I like being the main one that cooks the meals. I enjoy it. I love serving my family that way. So we're kind of talking it, again, every season, every month, sometimes weekly, we have to kind of align, what do we want our life to look like? Build the life that you want, and you fit your work time into that, right? So you're always adjusting, but yeah, same answer.
Yeah. For me, I think I work a lot less when my husband is home, and that's what I love about this business is you can work when you want to. So to kind of touch on what Brooke said about time blocking, I do that still as an Emerald Ambassador. And typically I only work what seems like work to me about 30 minutes a day. But if you consider relationship and building relationship with your team and talking to your friends daily, if you included that in your work, I work a lot more than that because I have all my best friends on my team, right? And I do talk to them throughout the day, answer their questions. But I sit down for an intentional 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes before I go to bed. And that's about it. And when my husband's gone, then I'll work longer because I have more time. But when he's here, then I spend more time with him, and I intentionally block out like 30 minutes before anybody wakes up and 30 minutes after the little kids have gone to bed.
Perfect. See how we're all the same, but all a little bit different? My biggest thing is same. Everything they said, exactly same. Busy, crazy seasons and steady seasons. But listen, you're your own boss. So you've got to treat your business, like I'm at a coffee shop right now. What would I do if I was the owner of this coffee shop? If business was popping at 7 p.m., I keep it open until 8 p.m., whatever. So you got to be your own boss. Reevaluate your team and your goals every month. Get with the people you live with and say, hey, this is how it's going to be this month. It's never been the same every month for me, ever. in 4.5 years. So there's no cookie cutter answer to that. Number 4, is everybody having a good time? Just need to make sure. Everybody doing good? Okay. Yay! Okay. Number 4, how long did it take for you to find your builders? I like this question.
Hey, yeah, so it took me a little bit. Honestly, I had a few people that I still have hanging with me now that are my runners, but it took me a little bit, honestly, because they probably would have grown faster if I would have grown faster, but I wasn't really sure exactly what I was doing as far as business-wise. I was just going for it. So I think, honestly, if I would have took the steps in the very beginning to like kind of do what Lane and Krista said all the time, you know, surprise, surprise, they know what they're talking about. I probably would have grown faster. And honestly, my builders underneath me probably would have grown faster and been more mature in their running. But right now, like I'd say probably about the last year, I've really picked up some runners, but I've also led better than I ever have in the last year. So I think Krista taught me, or Morgan or somebody, the speed of the team is the speed of the leader. So yeah, I'm just now kind of getting really quick runners in that are rocking and rolling just probably within the last year.
So to get momentum going was probably 6 to 9 months. And, you know, I had a little bit of a slower start compared to more of what we're seeing these days. But yeah, it was about 6 to 9 months. I joined in July, and, you know, by January, and then, you know, starting in that spring is when things really picked up for me, and been awesome. Morgan?
I would say, if I look back, people were joining and sharing like pretty early on, you know, but it felt like at that Senior Ruby is where I had the builders who our team was going to grow with or without me. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It kind of varied. I feel like through Ruby, every rank was still very dependent on us really, really working, you know, and that starts to shift, and it's very humbling as your team grows, where you realize every rank is just so dependent on way more than you, but on a precious team.
Okay, I don't know if I can properly answer this question for my team, but I can encourage you, because every single rank that I've hit, I've had different builders with me. And so what that means is throughout my journey, different runners have joined me. And so really early on, I had a builder join me, and then they might have chosen something else, or something might have come up in their life, and they might have decided Plexus wasn't their season. So at all different times of my business, I've had different people come alongside me and build with me and want to do this with me. I have a couple, just a handful or less, that have been there from the get-go, but everybody else kind of has come and went, and it's been a beautiful journey that I like to go back. When I went Emerald, I purposely went back and looked at my numbers and saw whose legs, if you will, or whose teams were my strong ones, and every single rank was a different strong leg. And I thought that that was so cool, that from my journey of just staying consistent and knowing this is what the Lord had me on, different people were able to join me and run with me at different seasons. And it's been wonderful to kind of watch them grow. And right now, the possibility in Plexus is amazing, and people can join and be right where we are very, very quickly if they wanted to be. And so just be consistent and keep running, and your runners will join you at all different walks. But I went all the way to Senior Ruby without with golds, only golds.
That's so beautiful, and such a good reminder to myself, even, because I hadn't realized that that's so true for me as well, Morgan. I've had different leaders at different times, and it doesn't mean that I've lost a lot. I have lost a lot, but a lot have stayed, but they've just been going through their seasons. You have to personally keep growing. Leaders will come, leaders will go, all the things. Don't wait for the runner. Don't wait for the leader. You be the leader. You be the runner. I wrote something down. Hold on. What was it? Oh, I wrote this little tip. If you're looking for runners, lead with the business. It took me a long time to have the guts to lead with the business, but it's all, well, it's not all I lead with now, but it has changed the game for me completely to share about the business and the financial freedom with Plexus. So lead with the business. If you haven't done that yet, I encourage you to do that. Okay, number 5. What rank was your hardest to get to?
Yeah, so I will tell you that I feel like my answer would be different if I was new to Plexus, because I think the Plexus from when I started is not the Plexus that it is today. So for me personally, it was the hardest back then for me to go from senior gold to ruby. I thought that was just 250 points to 500 was wow. And so mentally I had to get there. And then also my team building had to get there. And that was my hardest. And that's probably the one I hung out at for the longest. So that's my answer is ruby.
Okay, so the hardest rank was definitely emerald for me. You know, all the ranks are super different and can look really daunting at the time, you know, and you're so excited when you reach that one rank and then you're like, wow, the next rank looks really far away. How's that going to happen? And so, you know, I knew the goal was emerald, and let's see, the first month we went for it, it was pretty close, you know, and then kind of fell back. And then the next year we went for it and didn't quite make it. It was much closer that time, okay? And it took that, probably 9 more months to hit it. And so there was a lot that needed to be learned along that way, you know? And as crazy as it sounds, I was actually grateful and thankful that the Lord did not let me reach the rank that I wanted in my timeline, because, you know, some different things needed to be developed inside of me and within our team. And that happened, you know, and it just took time. And so I think I learned most in that season that rank is not everything, you know, and a title is not everything. Having a healthy team that is thriving, who is well trained and taken care of, is worth so much more to me. But yeah, hanging out waiting, there was a lot to be learned. And, you know, everybody has a different timeline, and yours is going to be beautiful. And it's just learning, you know, what can I learn in the waiting? It's important too.
So good. Brooke, my answer is similar to yours. It was going ruby. My business had taken off fast. I just ranked every month. And so I just figured that's how it would keep on going, you know? And I remember having gone senior gold. And I went to my first convention. I met Lori and Jetty Harrison, our upline diamonds. And they were like, you're going to double rank next month. And I was like, really? Just totally believed them. And then I got stuck. So senior gold was the first time that I felt stuck or stagnant or stable. But within that, it was such a necessary season. So there were some things in life that had happened. That's when Judah's seizures first started, was right after that rank. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. Let me help the sound here. Okay. But then some of it was that switch, like I mentioned earlier, of when we decided this could no longer be a nooks and cranny thing, that if we were going to take it all the way, and this is going to be our income, because at senior gold, because of my PV, I matched Chad's income. I was making over $4,000 a month as a senior gold, and so that's when we had to decide, you know, are we going to make some sacrifices to enable Chad to come home full time, which had been a dream since we were dating. So yeah, it was just a season of wrestling with the Lord. Was he really calling me to do this? Was I allowed to work? Does God believe in women working? Like, I had to go through some really basic stuff because I had just never done that before. I had always been just a mom. So it was a necessary season, but at the time it just felt so hard and like I would never, ever, ever make it to Ruby.
So for me, my hardest one to get to was Emerald, because that was really when I started trying to business build. And the Lord spoke Emerald super clear to me, and my team was like going up, 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 up in points, and it looked very promising, and the Lord spoke it very clearly, and we were 60 orders away. And then the next month we were 60 orders away. And what I did learn was that the promises of God never return void, and I had to stand on that promise from God and say, okay, there is no doubt you could talk me out of what the Lord spoke to me. So I'm just going to hold on to that. But what I learned, which by the way was an entire year from the time he spoke that our team would go Emerald to when I actually went Emerald, what I learned there was just to continue to build and pour into my team and help my team reach their goals. And in unifying my team and helping them reach their goals, a bigger goal is met. And that's the beautiful thing about the higher up you go. It's about so much more than yourself. And it's about so much more than hitting the next rank. It's about people joining hands together and saying, what are your goals? Let's do this together. And when, you know, Sam goes gold and Brianna goes gold and Chelsea goes gold and on and on and on, when we all do that together, boom, there's 1,500 points. And so it was such a pretty process of figuring out the business, figuring out how we're going to do this together. And then it got more exciting because now I don't even know how many points Sapphire is, but I know that I got a team full of goals. And if they all hit those goals, we're going to hit Diamond. Forget about Sapphire. And so it's about helping them link arms and figure out where your team can go. So that was more than your answer, but Emerald was the hardest.
Oh, I love it. So I go all the way back to the beginning. Probably the biggest, hardest rank for me was gold. Honestly, there was no senior silver. To go silver, you needed 3 people. Okay, my dad, my Aunt Carla, and my friend from high school, done. And then I'm like, how many do you need to go gold? 20 people? And that's when I realized, crap, I've got to be a leader. I just thought I was signing people up. Like, I can do that. But that's when I had to like get a little bit of guts about me and encourage people. Sorry, a little bit nervous for a second. Okay, thought somebody was talking to me. But anyways, sorry. So that was the hardest for me, is because living in a small town of people that had a different mindset about this, to tell them, hey, you should post on Facebook, like you should run with this business. That was a fear that I had to overcome going from silver to gold. That's when I realized that I had to be a leader and talk about the business more. So that was the hardest for me. Let's see, number 7. Best piece of advice you've ever received.
Okay, so that is me. The people over points. It sounds so easy. So just, yeah, you hear that all the time. So cliche, but guys, that is my best advice. People over points. I have built so many meaningful relationships, both with the leaders and the people in Plexus, but also just people that I talk to at the coffee shop, people that I message. I've gotten this awesome opportunity to just like almost counsel people. It might sound silly, through Messenger, and just be able to pray over marriages and pray over, you know, moms homeschooling their kids, or moms wanting to be better or more or healthier, or, you know, a better wife, or, you know, I've been able to just like speak life over people. And sometimes, guys, listen, they have not joined my Plexus team. Guys, they have not joined. And some of them have joined that I've spoke life over and sown into and preached at and prayed over and counseled for the last 3 years. And they're just now joining my team. So people over points, people over profit, guys, is seriously the best advice that I ever heard. I heard it in the very beginning and I didn't understand it and it didn't take root, but it was sown and it has grown and it has developed. And that's the best advice I've ever received. And hopefully that's the best advice that I always give and to pour into my team. It's relationship over everything. And it is the Lord over everything. And if it leads to Plexus, great. And if it doesn't, God's going to do something with that anyway. So that's my answer.
Okay, so my best advice, was something I heard, I'm sure, from Krista, is to allow the Holy Spirit to be your upline. And that is sometimes going to look like opposite of trainings that you listen to on YouTube. It's going to look different than what, you know, your friend is doing or your sideline. But it's to lay it before the Lord and say, God, should I message this person? You know, should I reach out to this person? Should I make this post? And allow him to have control of my business. And that has been the biggest thing for me. You know, because sometimes a post seems really good and I'm about to hit post and it just isn't right, you know? And so just to allow God to have complete control of my business and to allow him to be my upline at all times, you know, the one who inspires posts or messages, who leads me in how I communicate in conversations, is I want him to be in control. I want him to speak through me. And if he brought Plexus into my life, I know that he's going to work through it.
Amen. I'm going to say two things. One is a quote, don't take criticism from people you would never go to for advice. That was one of the first lessons I had to learn, and really analyze who criticized me and would I take marriage advice from them? Would I take financial advice from them? Would I take business advice from them? So don't take criticism from people you would never go to for advice. And another personal piece of advice that was given to me, it's going to sound funny, and it was this: Krista, go be a mom. I had reached out to Lori Harrison a little bit frazzled. We had been in momentum, and I didn't recognize my life anymore. I was still new in the business, and somehow Facebook went from like the place that I checked out from life to a place I had to be really intentional. And like it was all this Plexus all of a sudden. I was like, what did Facebook look like before Plexus? I don't remember. And yeah, I didn't recognize my life. I had probably been out of balance, to be honest. And sometimes the enemy can do two different things. Sometimes he can romanticize the future. He can romanticize, like Lane mentioned earlier, that Diamond, you'll be perfect, like life will be perfect. He can also romanticize your past. He can romanticize your comfort zone. He can romanticize how life used to be. And I reached out to her, tears falling of like, I think I just missed just being a mom and like cooking and cleaning. And that's all I had to think about was like, if someone had a poopy diaper. And she was like, Krista, go be a mom then. I mean, she just set me free. She was the first example of really open-handed with her team. She didn't like say, come on, keep going, keep working, get in your office. You can do this. You're going to slay. She said, then go be a mom. Just go be a mom for a bit. And what, you know, it took about 2 whole days where I realized, oh yeah, it wasn't so great. And now, not that motherhood is not great, but no, but no, how quickly I remembered how lost I felt, how quickly I remembered that I wasn't, if I was so self-absorbed with just my life, I lost out on the impact of also touching other lives and the life that breathed into our whole home, you know, like, and that the past really wasn't so great. Mama was struggling, you know, I have to remind myself it was hard. It was hard. And, you know, you kind of have to choose your hard, right? How many of you have heard that? Choose your hard. I have to continue to choose my hard because God's called me to this, and it's changed everything for us and for every one of you here, right? But I loved how open-handed she was. It allowed me to pull away, and also maybe it's part of my personality, but if I pull away and I do a menial task, clean out a cupboard, clean out a closet, just file some papers away, that creates white space for me. So my cup begins to fill up again, and I have creativity again. And sometimes if I'm just going, I can lose that. Whereas if I just pull away and just do something different for a bit, he's able just to breathe in and restore that again. So it may sound kind of funny, but I needed it.
Okay, Enneagram 9, you needed to get that cup filled. You know, you had too much pouring out. I relate to that so much, for sure. A couple different things come to mind. Honestly, I deleted my notes right before we got on this, so I don't remember my specific quote. But one thing I know that I specifically did when I realized that the Lord did have me start to share this was put my blinders on. Like, don't worry about what other people think. They're not the ones that are paying you. Like, Plexus just put $1,500 in my account today, and I'm not even really sure what I got paid for. I will find out eventually, but I'm judging me or who doesn't know my heart is the one who pays my paycheck. And so put your blinders on, check your own heart, and don't look left and right comparing yourself to other people or what their opinions of you are. Keep your blinders on, stay rooted in what you know you're doing, and keep moving forward. And then another thing that encourages me all the time, especially when you feel like you're having a downtime or you're like, my team is not in momentum, what is going on? Be the kind of leader that you want on your team. Are you being kind? Are you pouring into other? Do all of those things and be the kind of leader that you want, and you'll start to attract those leaders on your team because they're going to be like you and you're going to be doing what you want them to do. So be the leader that you want on your team, and then you'll find other people who join you and you're like, hey, I want to do what you're doing. And you're going to start to duplicate yourself because you're being the leader that you want on your team.
Man, this is so good. Good job, girls. Oh, I just have to touch really quick on what Krista said. You know, we've talked about that advice that Lori gave her. I just want to encourage you guys, so strongly feel this to say, doesn't matter what level you're at, if you're feeling the overwhelmed, the crazy, just frustrated, your kid talked to you and interrupted what you were doing and you feel frustrated, put down your phone right then. Put it down. Face down where you can't see any banners come. Put it down and don't go to your kids. Go to the Lord. Get a minute. Get 5 minutes with the Lord. Okay? We want this team to be healthy. We want you to work hard and get there. But it is important that you stay healthy spiritually, and then get with your kids, and then you'll be able to pour into work better. The best piece of advice was my very first leaders retreat. I don't remember who said it, but I wrote it down, and it's been on my mirrors and sticky notes and everywhere my whole entire journey. If you want to be a diamond, work like a diamond. Act like a diamond. Be a diamond. In my mind, that's what I've done for 4.5 years. And that's what has got me through. That was my best piece of advice. Okay, the next question, I would love for all of you ladies and anybody else that wants to add to this, because we want to hear from you. No matter who you are, if you're on this call, would you mind to put in the chats, let me see, a must-read book or mindset leadership tool? So a book that has been great for you, or like maybe a podcast or something like that has been great for your business. So let's all put that in the chats just to make sure that we kind of stay on time. Put that in the chats while we go to our next question, which is, how do you encourage yourself to stay motivated?
Okay. Yeah. So my podcast is Craig Rochelle's Leadership Podcast. It's my go-to. And how do I stay motivated or help myself stay motivated? Honestly, guys, my answer is probably going to be a little bit different than the other ladies, but I have never hit like a slump in my almost 4 years of trying to stay motivated. I'm very self-motivated, self-driven. You know, if I decide that I'm going to go get a prize, I'm going to earn that prize. If I decide I'm going to go for a rank, I'm going to hit that rank. I don't struggle with, oh man, I just don't want to do Plexus today, or oh man, I just don't want to do a Zoom or tune in. I have never struggled with that. I am just very self-motivated, self-driven. There's not like another option for me. So like, this is it. And so I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I honestly stay motivated every single day just by tuning in. I get with the Holy Spirit first things first. Align myself with the Lord every single morning. And I'm like, okay, God, who can I pour into and what can I do with my Plexus business? It's all yours. Move me and shake me. And I do that every single day.
I'd say a good way that I stay motivated is to bring in a couple of close friends, if they're on your team or if they're maybe a sideline, to bounce ideas off of, you know, different Facebook pages. We always need fresh ideas, you know, and sometimes we can become stagnant. You know, we offer the same sale, or our Facebook posts look really similar. And we always need, you know, something to motivate us, something fresh. And so to have a couple of close friends, even like sidelines that you admire, to follow them on Facebook and kind of get ideas from, is kind of what I do to stay motivated.
Oh, I feel like there's different things. I have to make sure my cup's full, which means I need rest and alone time. As an introvert, I have to have alone time, and with 8 kids, sometimes that's tricky. And then I don't know what the quote is, where action comes before motivation, something like that. Sometimes I just have to start taking action, whether I feel like it or not. Unlike Brooke, there's plenty of times I feel like I don't want to, and I can't, and I'm weary, whether my heart is weary and what we're walking through in our circumstances, or my body's weary, or whatever it is, right? There's a lot going on. So it is true. There's times that I don't feel like it, but inevitably, and I've even told Chad, I'm like, Chad, remind me, if I just make myself sit down and start doing it, all the feels start coming back, and I'll come out of my office like, yes, I killed it. It's so good. I love it. So those are a couple things I have to do.
Yeah, that's good. Bottom line, it's a choice. I tell my kids that all the time. You're not going to always feel like obeying, or you're not going to always feel like doing this, but you need to do it. And it's a choice. You can choose to do it. And when you choose to do it, you're choosing to do something better for yourself and for those around you. Practically, 99% of the time, if I'm like all like crazy, I go for a run, I turn on an Abby Kappa podcast, and like by the end of my run, I am not Marco Poloing. What do we do? I'm Boxer and Krista. Like, I just solved my whole team's problems. Let's figure this all out. I want to do this giveaway, and we're about to do this. Because when I run, I'm by myself. I have time to think, and Abby Kappa just gets my engines going. So that's practical.
That is practical. And I love all of these books and podcasts that we're putting in the chat. Screenshot those so you guys can plug into those. That's something that it took me a long time to do. Krista, I know you're like, oh, dear Lord, take the wheel. Because it took me forever to take the time to read a book or listen to a podcast. It's life-changing. Do that. Okay, so last question. I'm going to answer that question. I have 5 tips at the end I'm going to talk to you guys about. But the last question, really quick, is what is your favorite product and why? It's like the hardest question ever. We all know it. But if you had to pick one, just say it and say why.
So my favorite product is BioCleanse, because prior to Plexus, I had terrible bathroom habits. I wouldn't go to the bathroom but like every 3 or 4 days. And praise God, BioCleanse has changed everything. So that's my favorite product.
My favorite product is Slim HC, and it's because, well, whenever I started, it was the original Slim, and I feel a connection now with hunger control. That's my favorite, but I'm just gonna say it saved my life and helped me to be the best me. In so many ways. So it'll just always be my favorite. Slim is always going to be my number 1. But how can you pick? I just love them all.
I know. Slim is it, though. Slim, and more slim. I've had 3 today. Changed my life from suicidal depression to freedom. That's changed my spiritual walk, my marriage, my family, and now so many others. So I love it. Gives me all the feels.
I can't pick. Like, I am the most indecisive person, and you guys are making me choose just one. Can't do it. ProBio 5, maybe? Because it's awesome?
I know it's impossible. But I like hearing all the different ones. If you had to choose one, let me tell you right now, mine is Ease, because I just ran out 2 days ago. I felt a sickness coming on. So I was taking like 6 or 9 Ease and X Factor a day out, and I sleep on a flat couch in an RV, and I'm struggling right now. So if you're near Pagosa Springs, Colorado, would you please get a hold of me? Because I need some Ease in a bad way. anyways, it's ease. I can tell it when I don't have it because of my bad back and things like that. All right, guys, this is so fun. I want to just chat with you guys so much more, but this is my favorite part of the whole night because I just want to let you girls loose to just tell us what's on your heart, a tip or maybe a question that we didn't answer. I know Morgan, there was a question that she can answer so well for you guys. As far as me and the YouTube question, I will answer that in a private message because I know that YouTube isn't everybody's thing. It's been a huge blessing for us and has helped me grow my business tremendously. I don't think any of us have used Pinterest. That was one of the questions. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of us have done anything with Pinterest and building Plexus on there. But I'm going to start really quick and just give you five tips from me to you. Number 1, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane, girl. Stay in your lane, son. You were made for this. If you're on this call, I believe that you were made for this. But if you are busy looking to your left or to your right, you are playing in to lies and comparison, and that is not for you, and it will stunt your growth. So stay in your lane. Number 2, keep your why in front of you. That's the answer to the question of how do you encourage yourself to stay motivated? What is your why? And if reading that why doesn't do something to your heart, then go deeper because it should. And it will change and it will shift with each rank, with each month, with all the time. But keep your why in front of you. If you've done a vision board, keep it in front of you. And if you find yourself walking past it and it not doing something to you, make a new one. Because if you don't believe, then you're not going to go any further. You've got to believe in yourself, in your why, in the products, in the company. Never quit and you'll make it to the top. Write that down. I'm not quitting. I'm going to the top. The way to do that is to not quit. Be coachable. This is a big one. Be coachable and be a team player. So this means not that you're waiting for your sponsor to tell you every single thing. It's not their job, but allow them to coach you. Look up the YouTube videos, do the trainings, listen to what your upline is telling you because they've been there and they know what they're talking about, and then apply it. Don't have them continue to speak things into you and you not to apply it. That's a waste. Apply it. You are worthy. You can do it. And being a team player is just that. I don't need to explain. Be a team player. And the last one is we always hear this one plexus. And in the beginning, I thought, that's so cute. You know, that's great. That's so real. It doesn't matter for uplines, downlines, sidelines. I think there's kids riding a bike in front of me, so sorry about that. Okay, they're gone. It doesn't matter. We are all together in this. Do not compare yourself to somebody else. If you feel jealousy, then put down the phone and get with the Lord, because that is stealing from you, and they can feel that. They can feel that. That's some hurdles that I've had to overcome. It sucks when somebody's feeling those feelings towards you, when all you want to do is love others and encourage others and lift others up. So don't be jealous. Love each other. If you're feeling those jealous feelings, you know what I encourage you to do? Reach out to that person and just love on them. Ask them how they're doing it. Get some advice. I'll never forget, I got in a fight in high school. Can you believe it? A real actual fight in high school. And my mom, after she got mad with me, the day after, she said, you need to pray for her. And I thought, well, hell will freeze over before I do that. But once I started praying for her, I forgave her. So pray for the people that you tend to feel yourself getting jealous of, and reach out to them. Okay, that's my advice. I'm going to pass it over to Brooke, and then Krista, I'll let you close it out at the end if that's cool.
Okay, am I doing advice? Is that what I'm doing? Okay, so I have down, this is for the leaders. This is leadership tips. Do what you say you will do as a team leader. Do exactly what you say you will do, because if you don't have integrity, your team's not going to look up to you as a leader. And guys, this is the thing I've been telling my team for the last 6, 8, 9 months, is if you have somebody underneath you, you are a leader. You are their upline. You are a leader. You have a team. If you have one person or one customer or one ambassador, you're a team leader. So do what you say you will do and have integrity in your own house and in your own heart. And also don't ask them to do something that you're not willing or doing yourself. So those are my tips.
Deborah, are you in the house? I can't see faces.
I'm going to have Krista go ahead. I didn't have anything ready for this.
Okay, cool. No problem. Well, yeah, Krista, Morgan,
Morgan, go for it, and then I'll close up.
Okay, so I wanted to address, I think there was a question about how much do you reach out to people when they show interest and how much do you follow up with them? So follow up is huge, like huge. So I was like, I'll take this question because I follow up like a crazy woman. But you have to do it the right way. So a couple of different things. First, I do reach out to people, but if I am purely reaching out to someone about Plexus, I'm going to put that in my very first message because I don't want to seem fishy, or if my intention is Plexus, it's coming out the first thing. If it's to get to know them or because they made a post about, you know, problems or something and I want to help them, then I'll go that route. But if my heart is, I'm ready to talk to them about Plexus, it's going to be in that first message and it's going to say something like, hey girl, you've been on my heart. Have you ever tried Plexus? You can tell from my post that I really like it. Would you like to hear more about it? So I'm adding some questions in there and already throwing myself under the bus. Like, you can tell I love it. Do you want to hear more about it? Or do you have any health goals? Or are you ready to do this business with me? I'm going to ask them a question in that initial reach out. So that's kind of how I reach out to people. I don't do it a ton because I've built relationships and my network is pretty big, but I do consistently post. And so I have people reaching out to me because my consistency has been there on social media for quite some time. And I've already spent the time investing in people. So we're all going to be in different seasons, and that's okay. Figure out where your season is right now. Do you need to build your network? Great, start there, okay? Once you've built your network, sow into relationships, okay? Once you've sowed into relationships, then you're going to take the next step in reaching out Plexus-wise, because you've built that trust and people know your heart now, and they know your heart is to help them. And you know, they know now, this girl loves it. She seems real, authentic, genuine, and she wants to give me something that she loves. So you've built trust. So once you've done that, once someone has reached out to me and told me that they're interested in Plexus, or I've reached out to them and the conversation is already going, I follow up until they buy or until they tell me no. They're never off my list until they buy or until they tell me no. People will oftentimes not purchase from you until the 8th, in between the 8th and the 13th contact. So how many of you are like sitting there and you're like, whoops, never followed up after the first contact? Guys, 8th to 13th contact. This is so true. How did Morgan Johnson enroll? X amount of people the past 3 months. I've had 9 or more enrollees. How? Because I've been consistent for 3 years. Half of all of those months are people I've been talking to for 3 years. Okay, so you have to follow up. How do you do it? Not like annoyingly or salesy. You keep the relationship regardless of if they've ever bought Plexus or not. It's relationship first. All of the people I talk to on a daily basis, I have best friends from like childhood. I have my very best friend and cousin has never bought from me. That's okay. It's okay. Whether she ever does, it's okay. That's totally okay. And my hands are free, wide, and clear. Do I think everybody could benefit from Plexus? Yes, I really do truly believe that. But everybody isn't going to join us. And we have to be okay with that. One of my favorite books was The Go for No. So follow up continuously. Once somebody has reached out to you or you've reached out to them and you're starting the conversation, I always end in a question, and I typically say at the end, I'll check back with you in a couple days. So I'm letting them know I'm going to check back with them in a couple days. So when I check back with them in a couple days, they already know I was coming. Or sometimes people will say, okay, I don't get paid till next Friday. Can I buy next Friday? Absolutely. I'll check in with you then. I write down in my calendar or tell Siri on my phone, hey, remind me to call Amy on Friday. She gets paid. So I'm setting reminders for the day that we have already talked about. And then when we have sales, or I just make up my own sale and decide this day I'm going to give $10 back to anybody and everybody, I follow up like a crazy person. And everyone and anyone who's ever wanted Plexus is going to hear from me. Why? Because I know they want the products. I know they need the products. And I want them to get the best bang for their buck. So when I'm reaching out to them, typically it's going to be a voice message because it's personal and they can hear that I care about them. And I'm going to say, hey, Destin, remember how you wanted Plexus products and you were going to buy them? Well, guess what? They're on sale right now and you can get this stuff dirt cheap and you're going to love it. Are you ready to get that order placed? I ended in a question. I brought him back to his original goal. And I followed up with a sale because I care that they get it for as cheap. It doesn't mean they always buy, but it does mean that I follow up. And typically during those sale moments, it's like, boom, 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 boom. Okay, finally, people are coming around. So always check back in with them and end in a question, bring it back around and let them know you're going to come back, and then come back at the heart. Like, hey, I've been thinking about you because you said you've been struggling with migraines. Let's get rid of those migraines. Are you ready to order? So you're taking it back to what was their why. Figure that out with them. Have relationship with them. Why do they want these products or this business? And follow up. So my main leadership goals were anyone can do this. You guys have heard from Just Us 5, a drop in the hat of leadership. And a lot of us do it kind of similar because we do it together, but everybody does their business so differently. And if you want to have parties, go have parties. And if you want to have an 8 to 5 and you want Plexus to be 8 to 5, great, do that. You can do this however you want. If you don't want to ever have makeup on, you want to have a ball cap on, great, do that. That is the beauty of network marketing, is anyone can do this. Young, old, big, small, it doesn't matter. You just have to be 18 or older and you can do this, I promise. And you can make it all the way to the top. Fail forward. I still fail all the time. I do things scared. I couldn't figure out how to log out of Chad Derry's account when I got on here. I deleted all my notes and we still made this call happen. So anyone can do this. Just say yes, drop your excuses and run forward and you can make it to the top. Krista, take it away.
So good. Well, I know there was a couple other questions about how do you keep your team motivated and how do you develop silvers? And, you know, I may just like hop on Momentum Makers tonight or tomorrow or something, right? And kind of expound if that's good with you, because I know we've been going for a while. But I had one last thing on my heart. For some reason, I'm just going to trust that it's for someone here. And I've shared it before, but I'm going to share it again. The sponge is back. You cannot draw water from a dry sponge. Whenever you go to make a decision about whether or not it's time for a rank up for your team, you need to assess whether or not your sponge is dripping wet. And that's going to determine whether it's time for a healthy rank up or whether you're going to be drawing water from a dry sponge. What would happen if I am like squeezing this thing? I mean, you can't tell. My light's kind of funky in here, but it is dry as dry can be. Well, the drier the sponge, the more I'm trying to squeeze it. What am I going to do? I'm going to hurt the sponge, rip up the sponge, right? It's like, it's torture for me and for the team. This is your team. They're way more valuable than a sponge. But when you're trying to hit a rank too soon, too prematurely with a team that's not quite ready, it will feel hard for you, but it will be hard on your team and can leave them a little bit warped out of shape. Okay, I've been there before. I only know this firsthand. Bless your hearts, and you guys stuck with the process with me. Thank you. But no, so what do we need to do if you realize, okay, we've gone for something, our sponge is too dry. You've got to pour water on that sponge, and that's going to be a lot of love, a lot of heart, a lot of passion, a lot of fun. It's going to be casting vision, building belief, right? There's going to be so many things you can do to douse the sponge, but also your personal momentum. It'll always precede your team momentum. So I don't know why that was on my heart, but it's important as we go, especially in a time like this in our company, There's going to be times that you're like, is it a momentum month or not? Is it a rest month or a run month? Do I go for the rank now or do I wait? I think Morgan's a great example just last month as she prayed through and navigated, do we go Sapphire this month? And the fact that she knew in her heart to kind of pull back a little bit, her team, I believe, is going to blow past it this month. But I just felt like I just feel like that's such a huge success that she recognized the health of her team came highest priority, right? So anyways, for some reason that was on my heart. Douse your sponge with water, pour your heart, your belief, your passion, your love into your people. I'll expound more on Momentum Makers about how to motivate a team, how to develop silvers, right? Does that sound good? Let's close in prayer real quick because you guys have been just such amazing troopers. Lord, we just love you. We thank you so much for bringing us together for such a time as this, for bringing us to Plexus out of all things. Thank you for delighting in the work of our hands. Thank you for breathing on the work of our hands. Thank you for caring more about our hearts than you care about our businesses. And so we make a choice right now to embrace the process. We choose right now that no matter our season, we lean into you first. We choose right now to throw off discouragement, to throw off comparison, to throw off jealousy, to throw off negativity in our lives. We choose you. We choose your way. We know that you've called us to do this differently, to be set apart, to love people really well. And I just thank you that you are drawing the hearts. You're stirring the hearts of those that are called to be a part of this, whether it's for a reason or for a season or for a lifetime. We choose curiosity and we choose wonder. We choose delight as your children, knowing that we can fully trust you, that whether it takes a day, a week, a month, or a lifetime, that you've got this, that you are creating the perfect story, a story that's not only for us and for our children and our children's children, but a story that others will need to hear and be encouraged and inspired from. So we praise you for all that you're doing. We love you, Lord. Amen. Thanks, you guys. We love you so much. You're just the best, and we'll talk to you soon.